Hello friends, it is Laura from Cool Mom and Collected, and in today's video, I'm going to be sharing my homeschool curriculum for year 2. We are finishing up with Ambleside Online, and although last year for year 1 with the CMEC, I shared my entire homeschool curriculum, I will link that down below. This year I'm with Ambleside and I'm actually finishing up my year. So instead of just showing you my curriculum, I'm going to tell you what we liked, what we didn't like, and I hope that it helps you guys out. If you guys like this video, please do not forget to like and subscribe. That shows me that you guys want to see more homeschool content. I also have a really great video coming up, shares all of my tips that I personally use to make my homeschool year more affordable. So you guys are going to want to click subscribe so that you don't miss that. That all being said, I hope you guys enjoy, and let's take a look at some of this curriculum. The first subject that we're going to talk about is Bible. There is nothing wrong with having a Bible curriculum. I think that's wonderful. I'm in my second year of homeschooling and I have not used one. I wanted to really make sure that as I'm setting the foundation for my children that we're reading straight from scripture. I'm going through the Bible with my children as I did last year. We are reading through Luke and we are reading through the book of Genesis. I use the Holy Scriptures Tree of Life version, the TLV. I also have a narration notebook that I've been using since last year, my child's first year. I would love to share, maybe make a separate video on narration journals. If you guys are interested, let me know in the comments below. I will link a narration video down below on how we do narration, but if it interests you, after every single reading, my son will narrate back to me and I will write it down in this book. So we have filled it up. It's about halfway done, and yeah, we're just gonna keep doing that. I also have the Student Bible Atlas by Tim Dowley. I've had this from last year and I really like it for its beautiful maps. Hey, excuse me, can I speak please? You could talk to your friends later. Okay. So I really like, if you look at the contents, you can see there's different maps about lands of the Bible, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the Exodus, crossing the Jordan. It kind of takes you throughout the Bible and you'll be able to see the different places that it's referring to. So this has been really, really helpful and my son has really enjoyed this as well. We're getting into history and tales now. And I have to say, I have thoroughly enjoyed Ambleside's recommendation for history and tales. If you did not know, it is Child's History of the World and Island Story. Now, both of these I highly recommend. There was never a time reading through history this year where my son was like, are we done yet? All of the tales were so grasping and with his attention, and even mine, if I'm honest, very short and concise passages. So I felt that we didn't lose interest. They coincided really beautiful together. And an island story, if you guys aren't familiar with, is actually starting at the history of England. Since through England, America was found, we start with island story. And honestly, I found that that's setting a really great foundation for my child's history. The next book that was recommended by Ambleside Online was Little Duke. And I have to say, my son loved Little Duke. There's so much adventure. There's so much positive teaching for the child about forgiveness and bravery and courage and self-control and, you know, acting in passion when it is pleasing to God and not passion that is for revenge. And it was just a really wonderful book. It really impressed me and I would definitely do Little Duke again. Now we're moving on to natural history. This is Natural History Burgess Animal. This is where we explore mammals. There's 40 chapters. The book, in a very Charlotte Mason way, instead of just listing facts about animals, takes you into the classroom of the forest where Old Mother Nature teaches the creatures that they don't know as much as they think they do about each other. And so it is very exciting. Every chapter is a different animal being introduced where you'll talk and meet different characters like Peter Rabbit and Buster the Bear and all of these different types of characters. So I do think that it was really fun. Now I did pair each reading with a blog post from A Humble Place. I will link that down below. She basically put 40 plus YouTube videos for the Burgess Animal book. And after each chapter that you read, you're able to click on her video of that animal. And it kind of gives the kids a visual after each reading of what animal they spoke of. So if you just learned about a bear, then you can go to her site and she might share a video about a bear on YouTube, and it will just give kids like a 2-minute or 3-minute extra visual. And once I do that, I then get out our nature notebooks. Nature notebooks. I got this off Amazon. It was 2 for like $15. Very, very affordable. Great, great quality. Whatever animal my child and I just read about in the Burgess Animal Book, after watching the video, I would have them watercolor in their book. And so our nature notebook is just filled with different mammals that they've learned about. Next, we have geography, and we did Tree in a Trail. I really, really liked this book. My children did too. There are beautiful, beautiful illustrations, and it all forms around the storyline of this little tree, this little sapling. You see life evolve around the sapling as life evolves, be it Native Americans that protect it with stones so that the bison don't cut it down. It becomes a fortress for them. It becomes a mail spot for the English travelers and French travelers that are going through. The reason this falls into geography is because it really shows the different landmarks. It shows the history that just revolves around this tree. It's a very, very beautiful story. This I highly recommend. Next, we're moving on to literature, and we did Shakespeare this year. I will say, when you have 5 children under 7, some of the content I needed to change. So, Tales of Shakespeare. And this was really wonderful. You might think, wow, I didn't know you could read Shakespeare to a 7-year-old, but you absolutely can. In fact, my son was so capable of picking up so much from these stories that it just shows that Charlotte Mason was right, and that children don't need twaddle. Children don't need to have their intelligence insulted. They're way smarter than you think. And even if they just get a little bit or the moral of a story, it would have been worth reading it to them, because their brains expand when you give them greater language than what you would think they can have. We did Gentlemen of Verona. We did Romeo and Juliet. All's Well That Ends Well. Cymbeline. What I found is that it wasn't the language that was a problem with Shakespeare, with some of these things. I still was able to read them, but there's a lot of love in Shakespeare. There's a lot of death. And that's something I wanted to say about history too. There is a lot of death. I'm kind of surprised. I was a little surprised in the beginning that for history, there would just be so much death, but hey, it's history. Most of those people are dead anyway, so that's why. But in Shakespeare, there is a lot of death. People drinking poison, people stabbing people, people faking their deaths. Be aware of that. I did see the value of introducing it to my 7-year-old. My other 4 children were present, and they're all under 7. So there were times where I needed to kind of change some language. Maybe I didn't want to introduce some ideas to my younger children, but they were around because I am a stay-at-home mom. So I did just kind of use wisdom on that, and I'm sure that you guys can do. Parables of Nature. Guys, me no likey. You might likey, you should try. But I did not like it. Did not. And you can ask some of your friends maybe before doing Parables of Nature. You know, I talk about all the time how kids' language does not need to be dumbed down. But I had a hard time keeping up with Parables of Nature. And what I found is that the time it took to explain it to my children or to read it and understand it myself just was taking away time from schooling, to be quite honest. I know other people who didn't like Parables of Nature. I know people that did. I truly gave up within the first few chapters. It just was not a good fit for me. Just take that as you like. Now, Understood Betsy. Understood Betsy. Amazing book. One of my top favorites. A child that lives a very anxious life isn't given room. She's smothered by the keeper. She's smothered by her keeper. And so she has no room to grow, no room to blossom as a child. She has so many beliefs about herself that are really just beliefs that have been put into her mind about herself from her keeper. And in the end, she ends up moving with an unsuspected family that they did not intend on having her with. And between the fresh air and the freedom to think for herself and the freedom outdoors, this little girl transforms. Understood Betsy was a yes, please, and thank you. Next, we're going to go to poetry. So we had a few different poets, I think 5 altogether for the year, maybe even 4. We got through 2. Last year we did Christina Rossetti. This year we did Robert Louis Stevenson, A Garden of Verses. I actually have a vintage copy that I need to show you because it's that amazing. Is she not beautiful? This book was such a treat. This is honestly the perfect thing to go over. So many beautiful poems that your children will be able to relate to. I found Robert Louis Stevenson to be my favorite poet of the entire year. We also did Eugene Fields, who was a practical joker. If you guys were to go on Ambleside online, you would see that they have the poets that they recommend. They actually will also have hyperlinks to all of the poetry. And so we just opened that up on Ambleside and we went through a poem a day. We do it around lunchtime. We do it with maybe tea and a snack during tea time. And I did enjoy Eugene Fields. Robert Louis Stevenson is definitely a favorite. Eugene Fields was like a practical joker, so he's got a lot of like silly poems that your children might like. But overall, I just thought that A Child's Garden of Verses had the most beautiful language. And I think that you guys and your children will really, really enjoy that. Seabird. Just talked about Tree in the Trail. Seabird was the other book for geography, and it's written by the same author, Holly Clancy Hollins. I bought this. I wish I didn't. I wish I bought Tree in the Trail. Seabird was not my favorite. Although it did have beautiful illustrations, you cannot deny that. My children enjoyed it, don't get me wrong. The storyline to me was a little not as engaging as Tree in the Trail. I just think if you were going to start with one of the two, I would definitely say Tree in the Trail you should do. It's about this man, Ezra, who works on a boat. He almost hits an avalanche, and his boat almost hits an avalanche, but it was the help of a seagull flying in the sky that kind of showed him what was up ahead when he dodged the avalanche. That makes him carve a seagull out of ivory. And it's sort of same idea with the tree, following the tree throughout the years. It's kind of following the bird that he carved throughout the many adventures he takes. You learn a lot about ships. You learn a lot about whales. If your kids are into those things, I think they'll really, have a good chance of enjoying it. I just did not look forward to it as much as Tree in a Trail, so don't discount it. Just wasn't my personal favorite. Pilgrim's Progress. If you guys are shocked that the 7-year-old is reading Pilgrim's Progress, I need you to know I was shocked too. I was wondering, could it be done? I am mind blown at the wonderful discussions my son and I, my 7-year-old son, even my 6-year-old daughter, 5-year-old daughter at the time that we were reading, we have gotten so many incredible discussions out of this about salvation, about our life as believers in Yeshua and Jesus, about how we want to walk this narrow path towards our salvation. And I just highly encourage this. I know that they have a lot of like copies that are made for younger children, but your kid, I really believe, can do this because there's so many allegories. Like Christian is the name of the man traveling. I'm assuming you guys know the story, but the writer, John Bunyan, talks about a dream that he had. And in this dream, there's a main character, Christian. The whole point of the book is following Christian as he chooses to leave the land of destruction and basically seek out his salvation. And he meets all sorts of people that are named after the topic that we're discussing. So for instance, he might be meeting with pliable and obstinate, and you can tell from their names. So you're learning vocabulary from their names. You're learning which one is willing to bend and which one is not, and how that relates to your faith. I've never read Pilgrim's Progress, and I am loving it. And my son is asking me to read it every time. There's no complaints. So I definitely think that you guys should check that out. Now in history, we also did Joan of Arc. I am still working on this book. I actually am enjoying it. My children are really enjoying it. I'm just kind of a little nervous because I know at the end, it's a really sad story, but it's true. It's happened. It's history. And we're learning a lot about bravery, about doing what's right, about how you don't need to be 30 years old in order to do the right thing or to lead people. You can be a young child and you can lead people. We know that just based on people in the Bible that were young and were able to do amazing things. So I am reading Joan of Arc, and that is flowing really well into Ambleside's history. Ambleside just does a really wonderful job of lining up all of history so that as you're reading maybe 3 different books, you're actually hitting the same topic across 3 different books, and it just keeps cementing and cementing. So I'm definitely learning more history, teaching my kids than I ever did. Like the like button if you're the same. Now we have maps all around our house, but as far as geography goes, we also have this compact world atlas that we got from our first year. It's just a book form of different maps. It's very clean, very concise. And so if my son wanted to bring this to his bed and just kind of like study different maps for fun, it's just a really great resource. Otherwise, I highly recommend having a wall map, because as you're talking and reading different stories, you can literally be like, son, go up and go touch England and go show us if he crossed England to France, what would that look like? It just really helps. Even me, there are places in the world I never knew because I never had a wall map. So get yourself a wall map. Maybe I'll link one down below if I can find one, but I'm pretty sure I got mine from the Dollar Tree. In terms of copy work, I use the Italics Beautiful Handwriting for Children. This is by Penny Gardner. We started this last year and we have continued into this year with cursive. We are still on the program. We love it. It's very open and go. It's very self-explanatory. My son is doing a wonderful job writing and I'm very, very happy with this program. What I love is that this program, I'm pretty sure, is only $10. And you can print the PDF. You have permission from Penny Gardner to print the PDF as many times as you want. So once you buy this, it is yours. I can reprint it for all of my children, and it is so worth the investment. So head on over to Italics Beautiful Handwriting for Children and pay Penny Gardner that little bit of money so that you can have a wonderful curriculum for your children. Next, I want to talk about our math curriculum. We do the Charlotte Mason Elementary Arithmetic series. We are in book 2. We finished book 1 in year 1, and now we moved on to book 2. We did a lot of review. We did a lot of money counting, and we also are in multiplication now. And my son is thriving, so I am very happy to continue with this series, and I hope that you guys check it out. Again, everything is linked down below. I also get this math notebook that I really like. It's gridded, so it's very, very easy. The squares are nice and large, so your child can write nice and big as they're learning their numbers. And I just really, really enjoy this, and will continue to get this for its good material and how it works really well. As far as reading goes, this is my logbook. I have a video about it down below. I have a section where I record all of the books that we have read. We have done Mr. Popper's Penguins. Now, these are books that my son has read. So we've done Mr. Popper's Penguins, Understood Betsy, George Washington, Boxcar Children, Book 1, Story of Dr. Dolittle, Little Duke, and we have planned Heidi. We're currently reading Heidi, Robin Hood, and Boxcar Children, Book 2. I actually taught him how to teach your child to read with 100 easy lessons. I'll also have that linked. And that was wonderful. It set such a foundation. I did that before year 1. So year 1, we were just reading, and we've continued reading in year 2. That's how we do our reading in school. The next thing we're going to talk about is foreign language. We're teaching our children Spanish. I want to do a separate video on this. I feel like it needs its own video. Let me know if you guys are interested, because teaching your kids a foreign language is very tricky. A lot of people say that there's really no way to even teach them unless you're just speaking it in the house, like have one parent speak it, have one parent not. But what if you don't speak it fluently? That could be tricky. So I'm thinking of doing a separate video on that. If more people are interested, I will definitely make that one of my upcoming videos so that you can see how we do our Spanish. As far as physical activity goes, my children are involved in extracurricular activities. I think it's really great for, in a controlled setting, I watch, where there's a teacher that can be teaching my child. So, of course, mom is the teacher, but in terms of physical activity like sports or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or whatever it is, to have the teacher be able to instruct and for the child to be able to follow directions from someone other than mommy, I think is very important. Now, we do recitations every day, and we actually follow the TBG songbook, which I got from the CMEC. This is one of the most valuable resources I got from the CMEC. It includes different poetry, different hymns, different scripture, different folk songs that you are able to do with your child. And there is so much that you can't even do it all in one year. I will probably be using this next year as well. And I just think it's a beautiful thing to have. So I'm very thankful that I got this when I was with the CMEC. Every term we have a scripture from the Bible, like a scripture passage from the Bible. We have a hymn, and we have a folk song that we are learning, as well as poetry. I am taking up piano as well as my son, and I will talk about that in a second. Our love for piano has introduced so many new hymns that we now sing about 6 hymns together during the day. It's almost like our own little worship service. We play piano, the kids get instruments out, we have a little karaoke mic, and one of us is playing piano and singing these songs. So while I love the idea of reciting the hymn that you are learning, I have also just really enjoyed playing piano with my children and letting them sing and dance and do all the things while we learn these beautiful songs about God and we discuss them too. Are some of my grandparents' favorites. The Blessing, How Great Is Our God, Lord, You Are More Precious Than Silver, Amazing Grace, I Can Only Imagine, Goodness of God, Come Thou Fount, Trust and Obey, Change My Heart, O God, As the Deer Panteth. So these are just ideas of some of the hymns that we do. Nature studies. So while I have a curriculum for nature study that I could probably talk about in an upcoming video, I am going to be doing watercolor in nature with my children. I found that I was gifted this book and I was like, this is so perfect to do with my children. It's just a really wonderful book that shares different animals in nature and how to paint them. And I thought, how wonderful would this be to even find the animal that we're learning about painting and get it to study it, whether we're going to, a zoo. It just has really great ways to paint. And I thought this would be a great accompaniment because you're teaching them watercolor, which we did do last year. So you're helping that skill develop and you're also teaching them about the animal and you can observe them in nature. We do artist studies and composer studies. Again, I feel like this is a separate video, but I will show you guys when I was with the CMEC, I did get the Truth, Beauty, Goodness book and I do fill it with poetry, I fill it with paintings that my children do, and I fill it with our composer study. If that's something you guys want to see, let me know down below. This would make this video very long, and it's its own video. But I do want to say we do study 3 artists a year, 1 each term, and we do 6 paintings of each artist. So we love our artist studies and our composer studies. If you guys want to know more, that really is a separate video. I have more narration notebooks that we have filled at this point. I do have that narration video that shows how we do narration, but if you want to get like more of an in-depth look of what it looks like, I would love for you to let me know in the comments below. I have way too many of these. And I think the very last thing that I was going to show you guys was habits. We do laying down the rails with Simply Charlotte Mason. And so far we have taught the habit of obedience. It's always a work in progress, even as an adult. But this has been something that I pull out for our morning time. It really is a handy book for the parent to know what habits to work on, how to really narrow in. Instead of trying to teach your kid 50 million things at once, how can we just have that one overflowing habit that we're really focusing on and we're not missing opportunities to praise and encourage and things like that. So I have a few other books that go with this. I'll just link it all down below. I think that's it. Wow, that was a lot. I am sweating. Guys, that was it. That was a lot. I hope that you enjoyed this. I'm sure that this is going to be helpful to somebody. If any video ideas came from this or any questions that you have, please let me know. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I will leave my most recent homeschool Q&A down below so you guys can learn a little bit more about my homeschool journey thus far. I will see you in my next video. Bye.